time wrong, time wrong. I blow up and then they're all gone, all gone. So sick of saying hold on, hold on. A broken state, shaking the ground beneath, running from everything, seems to be the path I lead. And now I'm beating on the floor, wondering why I feel like a ticking time bomb, always seem to get the time wrong, time wrong. I blow up and then they're all gone, so sick of saying hold on, hold on. I took a shot on hoping I never change. I wonder why I'm always broken, stuck in time just like I'm frozen, frozen. Now I'm slowly thinking, a product of overthinking again. Hold it in and change my breathing, settle down and stop repeating amends. I feel like a ticking time bomb, always seem to get the time wrong, time wrong. I blow up and then they're all gone, so sick of saying hold on, hold on. I feel like a ticking time bomb.
Yo, hello, welcome to another installment of Touchline Talk at 2 PM on a Tuesday with your boy LNobbins. Ask Nobbins will be released later today, so make sure your notification bell ends, and just bells, are turned on so you don't miss that one. I'll also be live on Twitch later tonight, so join me for that as well. LNobbins, twitch.tv/LNobbins, link in the video description. The title of today's stream, guys, I've forgotten. Assessing cities growing transfer dilemma. That's right, he used the D word. Crazy. Relatively incendiary title, but I think it's justified. What we are going to do today is discuss the sitrep with why I'm labelling it a dilemma, and sadly having to hark back to problem that we mentioned a fair few months ago, and it's still very, very relevant right now, and I think that this is going to be the key stumbling block. We'll get into that, don't you worry. But how are we all doing, everyone? Welcome. Normal service has resumed this week. I was on holiday. We're now back with the Touchline Talk at 2 on a Tuesday, and Ask Nobbins is also making a return, as I say, after my holiday. How are we all doing, though? Good evening, Sam. He says, afternoon, fellow knobs. Tajani wants Kunde, and Mrs. Prime Walker, don't we all? Hello, Peter. Smash the like on your way in. Absolutely, guys. It is free. Don't smash it so hard that you break your phone or computer, though, because I'm not going to be liable for your negligence. But yes, to make sure to delicately tap that like button. Absolutely. Live and better for our homegrown problems, says Mr. Encrypted. No one is leaving, says Amin. CM says we can sign Dumfries. Well, I'm going to outline why we actually can't, but we already know that we can't. But I'm just going to reiterate that. Hello, Dave. Hello, Post. How are we all doing? Don't desert me. Take them. I don't know what that means. Hoodie Dax, but how are you doing? What's up, says Ian. Brilliant, Pavlo. Love that from you, Hoodie. Thanks, mate. Hashtag dumbfires. Dilemma is fine. Crisis would be too much. Yeah. To be fair, when I was actually doing the title, I did just double check. You know, I know what dilemma means, but let me just double check the definition of this to make sure that it is appropriate. And I do think it is appropriate, because dilemma is more about a difficult choice and a difficult situation, whereas crisis is, oh my god, we're all gonna the world is over and blah, 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 and that sort of thing. Hello, Abdi. How we all doing? Big up to Yanko, one of my beautiful members. How are we all doing? Big up to all of you guys. Big up to you all. Love you all very, very much. Shall we kiss? Yes, let's do that. You'll notice, or maybe you didn't notice, that in the thumbnail of today's stream, it's Tino Livramento. Although I suppose we should be calling him Tino Livramento, because he said no to City, allegedly. Apparently, he's signing an extension with Newcastle, so that would suggest that Tino Livramento has said no, which is a shame, because I was quite excited at the concept of signing Livramento, to be honest with you. Partly because of his quality, partly because of his profile, partly because of his age, but also because he was a really nice option, re the homegrown situation. It wasn't something we had to really think about or add into the quota of, like, this maximum cap on non-homegrown players. It was like you can just pop him in and it doesn't actually introduce any problems, and it's absolutely fine. So I was quite happy with the concept of a Livramento coming into City. In which case, that creates a dilemma. Hence the title of this stream. Now, the purpose of this stream is not to debate whether Livramento would be a good option for City or whether he's good enough for City, because I understand that a lot of you guys don't like Livramento, and I totally respect that. I'm not that passionate on defending the quality of Livramento as much as other players. I don't really care about it. I think he would be good enough. Some of you guys don't think he'd be good enough. That's absolutely fine. I don't care to argue the merits either way, because I don't think it's particularly interesting. And it's also largely irrelevant, as it turns out. According to these rumours anyway, of course. Nothing's actually happened, but these are rumours. That seems to be the state of play. We knew it was going to be difficult to get him out of Newcastle anyway, and who knows, maybe he didn't even want to leave. That seems to be the case. The problem, however, that it introduces is, where do City actually even go from here? Now, I understand. Now, of course, we've still got a number of weeks. In fact, can someone please confirm when does the transfer window slam shut? Does anyone know when that is? The date would be great. When is it? I feel like it's the end of August. Sometimes they change it, don't they? I feel like it's the end of August. There's still over a month, therefore, if that is the case, to sort something out. So I'm not going to say, as I think it was Fenway said earlier, I've rightly said, this isn't a crisis situation. There's plenty of time. There is plenty of time for City to come up with a solution. The 1st of September, yeah, so starts for September 1st. Thank you, guys. Lovely stuff. Great. Yeah. So, yeah. Perfect. Thank you, guys. 1st of September. Perfect. So there's plenty of time. So it's not panic stations, because there is over a month left, and a lot can happen in the space of like a few weeks. City signed 3 players in the space of a few weeks. So we know that moves can be made in a relatively short period of time. So it's not necessarily a problem yet. And that's why I'm not going over the top here. I'm not going to, throw my toys out of the pram. I'm not going to say it's a disgrace and it's a crisis, because there is still time for good things to happen. So I'm reserving judgments right now. However, we can still talk about the practical difficulties that will face City. Hence, dilemma. Because people in the chat right now are suggesting right backs, and that's lovely, of course. Now, I think there are 2 issues, actually. The first issue, because the first issue in the first instance is, it's not really a position where I'm naturally able to rattle off a load of names. Like, for example, when we had like a midfield and there was a crisis last season, a midfield crisis last season, there were plenty of players who were able to come in and fix City's midfield. Whether that was Bruno Guimaraes, whether that was Baleba, whether it was Palacios, whether it's Nico G, whether it's Reinders, who we've ended up signing. And so on and so on and so on. I feel like now I'm quite ignorant. So I appreciate that. I'm not learned in every single league in the world, but I feel like it's not as naturally easy for me, certainly, to come up with a load of options for City at right back, ignoring all of the other circumstances. There are some names that I think are interesting, but I don't think it's as naturally easy if we're trying to look at realistic names. That's the first problem. However, that is academic. Because the actual problem, and I'm so sorry to keep bringing this up, because I feel like I've somehow become like the face of bringing up this problem. I don't even know if that's fair to say, but the stream did the rounds a month or so ago, got picked up by a fair few people, so I feel like I've become like the sort of face of it, whatever, so I'm so sorry I keep bringing it up. But again, it's all academic to say, so people are saying, you know, Vanderson, people are saying Dumfries, people are saying whoever, you know, name some more right backs for me, whatever. Martin Fernandez, another one. Spartacus, I hate you so much. The problem is that, exactly, Fenway, the problem is that it's so meaningless right now to even discuss incomings unless we are talking about a homegrown incoming. Right now, I'm so sorry to keep talking about this, I'm so sorry if you guys are bored about this, but sadly, it's all I can think about, because I think it was a City Extra tweet, and the tweet was something like, who would you sign at right back? And I started to quote tweet it, and I started to, you know, rattle off some suggestions, ideas, whatever. But then I stopped and I deleted it because I was like, this is pointless. It's all well and good saying, you know, everyone knows I'm a big fan of Singo, for example. I think that ship has now sailed, but everyone knows I'm a big fan of Singo. In the past, I've been a fan of players like Kite, Simicon, people like Vanderson, people like Dumfries, people like Martin Fernandez, people like Reed, I think, is another player who's doing the rounds as well. There was one player who I can't remember what it was called. I wrote his name down somewhere. I think he plays for Roma. Who's the Roma right back, guys? Or am I thinking of the Roma goalkeeper? Can someone please let me know who the Roma right back is? He's young. Let me know. And if I see the name, then it might have been someone who was on my radar, but I might be making that up. He's quite young. Anyway, the point I'm making, in a roundabout way, is that we all know that we physically cannot sign any more non-homegrown players for the purposes of the Premier League rules as the squad stands. No, it's not. I think he's Dutch. I think he's Dutch, the player I'm thinking of. Maybe I might be thinking of the wrong team, guys. Maybe he plays for Ajax. This is what I mean. I wrote his name down. I literally can't remember who it is. I'll do that after. That's my homework after. Maybe he's on loan at Roma. I don't know. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, we are at capacity, RE Premier League. We know that. We can't do anything else without selling people. That's the one. I think that's the one, Farah. Yes, I'm pretty sure it's him. I recognise this name. Yes, thank you. That's the one. Thank you, guys. I was looking at him as a potential fun option, but again, this is all academic, as I say. Because we know we are at capacity RE Premier League, and we also know it is even worse in respect of the Champions League rules. Because all those lovely loopholes with the under 21 players, this is why I was entertaining the idea for, yeah, that's the one, Joshua, thank you. This is why I was entertaining the idea of Martin Fernandez as a potential, is because he's 19. So for the Premier League rules, it's an interesting loophole. But the current loophole players we have, i.e. Echeverry, Hayes, Krisanov, Savio. I don't think I'm missing anyone else. Let me know if I am, guys. Am I missing out any other non-homegrown players who are under 21, technically? I don't think I am. I think those are the four. Hayes, Echeverry, Kusanov, Savio. Yeah, I think that's it. So we're 4 over by that count in respect to the Champions League. Now Bob thankfully counts as homegrown, so that's not a problem, thankfully. This is why Bob's such a really nice player to have in the squad, so we're fine there. I don't think I've got anyone else. And Naipan is not homegrown right now. I think based on his age, he could become homegrown, but I'm not going to lie, I'm not even considering Naipan because we all know he's definitely going out on loan. Shirky doesn't even count as under 21 for... I've got to check now. When's his bloody birthday? I'm very confident he does not count as under 21. No, because he was 21 at the start of the year, so he does not count as under 21 for Premier League rules, because he's going to be 22 in August. So he does not count as an under 21 player, as far as the Premier League are concerned, unless I'm missing something there. Yeah, so that means that we are 4 over. Hayes, Kusanov, Savio, and... Oh my god. Echeverry. I quite like the idea of Hayes going out on loan. I know lots of people weren't. I get that. I'm thinking about it more of just... We simply just need to look at these numbers. Something came out that he was going on loan to Girona, and then something came out saying that he isn't going on loan to Girona, so I don't really know what the state of play is there, but it looks like he's actually staying right now. If we can't sort it, and obviously Savio and Kusanov aren't going anywhere, so in my head, Naipan's already going out on loan, / it's just not even in the conversation. Or if we weren't able to, he just wouldn't be registered for the squad. So right now we are in a situation where we simply do not register, we do not register these players for the Champions League, which would be a massive shame, and I don't think they would be happy with that, because I think that, for games like against Bratislava, let's say, that's when you want to play Echeverry. That's where you want to play Hayes. That's where you want that. These are the games where you sort of realistically want to be getting minutes into these players' legs, because they're not going to get many minutes elsewhere, practically. So we sort of need to accept that we need to create this space. Otherwise, it's partly not fair to these players, but also, what would even be the point of keeping them if you are denying, like, some of their tiny amounts of minutes that they're going to get across a season? Because they're not going to get any meaningful minutes in the Premier League, of course. They're not going to get any meaningful minutes in big Champions League games. They might get some in your early stage League Cup and FA Cup games, but that's not really a lot of minutes. So I feel like some of those earlier Champions League games would be a nice thing for them. So I don't even want to entertain the idea of, oh, we can just not register them. Which you technically could, and I guess that's like a last resort, but I don't want to do that. So I'm not gonna... That's not my starting point. My starting point isn't, oh, just be fine for the Premier League rules and Champions League, whatever, just don't register them. I don't want to do that. I don't think it's fair to them. I don't think it makes sense to do that either. So potentially missing out on Livramento is a double-edged problem, because not only does it mean that we aren't going to get a right-back who I believe is of the requisite quality, it also means that if we want to bring in a right-back, the chances are we aren't going to satisfy, we aren't going to help this non-homegrown problem. If anything, we are just going to worsen it. The only other name that people seem to be bringing up as a potential is Spence, the Spurs fullback, who can play at left back and can play at right back, and that's fine and dandy. That's lovely. He's not a player I'm particularly interested in. I can understand why people are interested in him, because I think he's a decent player. But it's not. I don't think it's wise to make that move. And Jimmy there saying just get Singo. But Jimmy, as I've just said, that makes it a worse situation, Ari, the homegrown situation. We would then be over the limit for the Premier League, and we would then be over the Champions League limit by 5 at that point. That's what I mean. Now, if we bring in Trafford for Edison, then that is a slot created. Then, before any incomings or outgoings, we would be over by 3 in the Champions League, and we would have 1 space for the Premier League. But that's still a pretty big surplus. And I don't know how much we can bank on players leaving, non-homegrown players leaving. Gundogan seems to be one who, I feel like in my head he's gone. In my head he will go. But I don't know if the same is going to be said of Akanji, or Bernardo, or Kovacic. I don't know if there's a guarantee that these players are going to leave. And this is what I mean about this being a dilemma. We're all talking about bring in a right back, which we all know we need to do. But you can't do that without sorting out the first stumbling block. Stop that homegrown shit, they're going to handle it. What? Oh, right, okay, bye, guys. See ya. Bye. Why are you here, bro? I'm not being funny. Why are you here? Are you okay? What's going on? That reminds me of the time, you know, when we were like doing how might City set up next season, and someone in the chat said, "Bruh, stop overanalyzing." This is an analysis stream, or it was an analysis stream. What do you mean? Same energy, same vibes. Oh, what, like, I don't know what we're doing. Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, let's just not talk about the fundamental problem, which is stop right now preventing City from potentially getting a right back and potentially improving other areas of the pitch. Let's definitely not address that as a potential problem. Let's just, because we can't control anything at all. I can't control the transfers, so why don't we just stop talking about it right now? Let's just sit here in silence. Let's sit here in silence and just not do anything, because we can't influence anything and they're just going to sort it out. What we've done there, guys, is we have destroyed content creation. So well done. Well done for that. Whatever your fucking name was. Anyway. Yeah, I'll go back to Croatia. How about that? How about them apples? I don't want you to ban him. Let him fucking wallow in his fraudulence. Anyway. I'll come to the chat. Ah! No, you can't, but don't ban him, guys. Spence isn't even first choice at Spurs. Yeah, okay. Now. And I know that the conversation isn't necessary. And maybe, and to be fair, maybe that's how it could pivot. So if that is the dilemma, and if it can't be solved, and at this stage, I don't know if it can be solved this summer, I don't know if we're going to be able, even if we get rid of Edison and pop in Trafford, let's say. And I think that signing is partly informed by the homegrown situation, by the way. Hence, it's important to talk about. Because I think if we did make that signing, that it would be playing a part. But let's park that And let's say that, right, okay, well, a way around it is simply to bring in a different homegrown option. And one of those options would be Spence. Now, I like Spence, but Nobbins, why do you like Spence? Because I had Borough on a Football Manager save when we streamed on Twitch. So big up to Spence because I was Borough, even though we didn't win the fucking Premier League and to Newcastle on the last day of the season. That pissed me off. My strike with max finishing bottled a 1v1. But anyway. How much better than Núñez is Spence at right back? Is my first question. If we are saying that Núñez is like, what is Núñez's ceiling as a right back? That's an interesting question. Out of 10, what do you guys? I want audience participation here. Out of 10, what do you reckon Núñez's right back ceiling is? By that I mean, what's like the best? Realistically, what is the best that we could hope for on a week-to-week basis? I would say that what he showed at the Club World Cup was sort of like between like a 6 to 7 out of 10, I would say. He wasn't excellent, but he wasn't bad, detrimental. I thought he was like above average to good. No, so I would say you guys are saying 6s, 8s, 7s, 7 out of 10 for Cafunes. 8, 10, 8. Yes, so for me, I think we're looking at somewhere... on an absolute good best day, I reckon that we'd sort of talk about like high 7 to an 8. But I reckon like generally, sort of like on a week-to-week basis, I think that he's like a 7 out of 10. That's what I'm looking at for Núñez. Which it isn't bad, obviously. In fact, 7 is good. If 5 is average and 6 is above average, then 7 is objectively good. So it's fine. But I don't think it can really go higher than that because he's not a right back, obviously, so he shouldn't be expected to be that. But I think that he is, at most, a good right back. He's not like a Kyle Walker, where... a prime Kyle Walker, where it's sort of like he can be like the best right back in the league, for example, in a season, etc., etc. Now, here's the follow-up. What is Spence's ceiling? I didn't realise this. I don't know why. I thought he was a hell of a lot younger. Spence is going to be 25 later this year. He is not like a prospect. He's young, technically, but we're not talking about, a player who is going to develop over the next few years and potentially become a world beater, I don't think. Let me know your... actually, no, I feel like I said too much. I don't want to influence. I don't want to overly influence. What is Spence's ceiling, do you reckon, as a right back at City? If you thought that, Núñez was like a 7, let's say, what's like the best we could expect from Spence, sort of like on a week-to-week basis? If we're sort of saying like, 9 or 10 is like, Trent and Walker or Cancelo are their absolute peaks, that's like a 10. A 9 or a 10, whatever, because that's the thing. What is Spence, do you reckon? Now, for me, okay, 2's a bit crazy. There are... So I think most people are sort of saying like 6, 7, 8. I think a fair few more higher ones, like an 8.5 there. Yeah, around an 8. Now, I don't disagree. I'll repeat. Spence is not young. He's not this... as I say, teenager or even a 20-year-old or early 20s player where you feel like there is a natural inherent next level, if that makes sense. Now, of course, that is not to say that players can't, go mentally bloom from like 25 onwards, because they absolutely can. Of course they can. That would be a foolish thing to say, but it's not necessarily likely. No, Yash, I don't want young players. The point I'm making is that I think that Spence is a good player. Now, in the present. I don't know if he's ever going to develop into an exceptional player. Or even a great player. Where it's sort of like an 8 to 9 out of 10 sort of player. I'm sorry to use basic things like numbers like that, but I'm just trying to illustrate a point here. If he were young and this level, I'm not saying I want young players, maybe I worded it poorly. If he was the level he is right now, and he was like 20 or 21, I think it's a different conversation. Because then you are going, well, he's good right now at 20. Imagine what he's going to be like at 25. He's going to develop and become an even better player. He is 25. Well, it will be like in a few months' time. So the point I'm making isn't I want a young player. The point I'm making is if I'm going to get a player of what I believe is Spence's quality, I would only entertain that if he were young. I'm not saying I want a young player. I'm saying that I don't know if I'm convinced based on his age that there is much. I don't think there's this leap in his game, and I think that for him to become like the starting right back at City, the player who I would want, I don't think that leap exists. Hopefully that makes sense. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. We had a super chat. Thank you very much to Manavit. Here's a fortune for you. Your many hidden talents will become obvious to those around you. Okay. And my picks are Dodo Stingo, Vanderson for the right back position. Well, that's all well and good, but right now we can't even fit them in. Thank you for your super chat, matey. So that's what I'm trying to say. I think Spence is a good player, but as someone rightly said earlier, Spence is not a starting fullback for Spurs. Now, I'll repeat, I'm not trying to have a go at Spence because I think that he is a good player. And I would love Spence to be at City if he were back up at right back and back up at left back, obviously, because I understand the versatility. I get the utility. I also get the fact that he's homegrown, so he doesn't take up a non-homegrown slot. And I think that if City were in a better position, RE squad building, then I'd be all over the signing. No questions asked. But right now, I don't think that's what City need. The point I'm trying to make is how much of an upgrade is Spence on Núñez? Now, I'll accept that he's an upgrade because he's a fullback first and foremost. He would also help us going forwards. The problem, as I say, is that I do not think that he is enough of an upgrade in order to justify purchasing him. Spartacus, mate, we're going to fall out. We're going to fall out. That's the point I'm trying to make there. I like Spence. Again, good player. It's the gap between he and Núñez. Assuming Núñez can lock in performances across the season like at the Club World Cup, is the gulf between the two enough to warrant saying, right, these are our two right-back options for the next few years? Because that's the situation that you'd be locking yourself into. I don't accept that he is good enough to do that. I don't think that the upgrade warrants it. At that point, I would actually just rather sign no one and go hard next summer if that's the option. I'd rather just go hard this summer, but we all know that it's not necessarily easy given the whole problem at City. I would rather, at that point, go for someone who's really young but could become like a world beater and take a risk on that rather than just... I feel like going for someone like a Spence, it is settling for City. Why is he not even starting as the primary right-back option for Spurs? Because he's not as good as Pedro Porro. I would not be happy signing like a player with even like Pedro Porro's quality. Or maybe I would. Maybe I take that back. I'd be fine with it. I wouldn't be ecstatic by it. Exactly, DJ. And Udogie and Porro are good players. So that's fine. But why would I be happy for City starting right back to be a player who can't start for Spurs? I don't know if I would be happy with that. In fact, I wouldn't be happy with that. If you are happy with that, that's fine. But I don't know why I'd be settling for a player that Spurs don't even consider their best option at right back. That seems a bit silly to me. That's why I'm not particularly interested in the idea of Spence being a starting right back for City. Again, I love the idea of signing him as like an overall fullback who can fill in at left back, he can fill in at right back. He can be like a backup option there. Brilliant. That would be ideal and that would be perfect. But as a starter, as a first choice, not convinced. Not convinced. I feel like that would be a purely homegrown signing, and we would be settling at that point, and we would be, settling. And that's not really what I want City to do, because I want us to try to win the league next season. So there we go. But Yash, okay, Yash, do you think that Pedro Porro is worse than Spence? A right back. Is that what you're saying? Do you think that Spence is better than Porro? Do you believe that? Or what? It seems a bit silly to me. Spurs won't sell Spence in the first place. And hey, yeah, exactly. Maybe this is all irrelevant. Because we don't really want to buy off Spurs given how horrendous they are to deal with. Maybe that's the thing as well. Sal says, should we punt next summer? Okay, yeah, sure. We'll just have to agree to disagree there because I don't know how you can think Spence is better than Porro at right back, but okay. We punt till next summer and stick with Nunes and Rico. Again, I don't want to do that. But I would rather do that than get, like, a player who... I would rather do this and wait long term than sign a player now who I don't think is good enough and then, like, butcher the squad building in that sense. That is a mistake we made when we signed Mateus Nunes to be a midfielder. And it's not a mistake I want to make again. I'd literally just rather sign no one at that point and go again next year and see what happens, re the right backs. If that is the choice. I don't think that's the choice. It shouldn't be the choice. Hello, Toby. But I would genuinely rather do that and think long term and ahead rather than, as I say, settling for someone who I don't deem good enough to take City to that next level. And I think that's the point for me. The right back we bring in has either got to be young and can develop into this like starter for City and become that elite right back, in which case it's fine to accept that they are maybe not as good as Nunes right now, or they have to be of a level that is not only slightly better than Nunes, but a lot better than Nunes to justify it. And I just don't think that gap exists between those two players, in my opinion. And that's not ideal. Obviously, it's not ideal. But I just don't want us to butcher our long-term squad building for the sake of the fact that we need to sign a right back. If that makes any sense, I don't know if it does. What's this? Can we not just sign Aina? I think he signed a contract extension, hasn't he? But again, I don't want stopgaps. I don't want short-term solutions. I don't want that. I want either to take the risk on a young option, see if they can develop into that player, or, better still, sign a player who is simply of the requisite quality. But once again, this is the dilemma. It's hard to do that because I don't think enough of these players exist, and I don't think enough of these players exist that are homegrown. In which case, it's really, really tricky to even begin that conversation. Unless, as I say, we move on a lot of players this summer. We would have to move on. If we're to sign a non-homegrown right back a non-homegrown right back, then we would have to accommodate the Champions League. We would have to sell all of or loan out. To be fair, we could loan out Echeverry, we could loan out Hayes, and hopefully that one of those does happen. We would certainly have to also move on Gundogan and Kovacic, minimum. Probably also move on Akanji, and move on Edison and bring in Trafford. If you do all of that, then you're still at a neutral, and you'd have to sell enough. You'd have to sell another player, wouldn't you? Yeah, because you're bringing in, so you're adding one to it, aren't you? Yes, if you brought in a non-homegrown right back, now you need to move on 5. You can sell Gundogan. You can sell Kovacic. You can sell Akanji / loan out Hayes, whichever. Maybe loan out Echeverry. And he's still got to deal with one more. Or is that the Trafford one? That's Trafford coming in, Edison leaving. That is a lot of activity that I've just listed there. And we haven't even spoken about moving on like the homegrown options, like like McAtee and Grealish. A lot of business I've just outlined and illustrated on that one hand. And we've got just over a month to do that. Yeah, Josh, I did at the end there. I think I'll do it one more time. I'm pretty sure it's 5. So right now we've got a surplus of 4. If we bring in a right back, it's 5. It's non-homegrown. If we sell Edison and move and bring in Trafford, it's 4. So yeah, so sell Gundo, sell Kova, loan out Echeverry, loan out Hayes / sell Akanji. So much business needs to get done. And these are all hypotheticals as well. Hence, it is a dilemma. And I don't know how realistic that all is. I think we might have to sort of accept, now that we're apparently not getting Livramento, I don't even know if that was ever relevant. We may just have to sort of accept that we're not going to even bring in this right back because we might not even be able to physically fit them in. So it's not happening, says Musty. It doesn't look like it. Unless I'm missing something, it doesn't look likely. Again, unless you think that it is realistic that we bring in Trafford and we sell Gundo and we sell Kova and we loan out Echeverry and we loan out Hayes / sell Akanji. Or maybe there's like another hidden one there. That's exactly JMCFC. And this is why I think it's a dilemma. It's tricky. I'm not mad at keeping Nunes either. I need to make that clear. I don't have a problem with keeping Nunes, but the problem is what happens when he's not available to play a game of football. Who then becomes the right back that pushes up to right wing in our squad? There isn't anyone that can do that. There is no other offensive right back at City that could do that role. It's a problem. It's a problem. Kanji. Again, you could do that. You could play back 3 on the ball. That's fine. But I don't. And again, I keep bringing this up, but I think was it the Al Hilal game, which was the perfect example. Nunes going off forced Pep to totally change the shape. And I think for the worse. I don't want to be in that situation where it's like, right, if Núñez doesn't play, then we are inherently fucked. And we simply can't do that. Lewis, the problem with Lewis is he's a midfielder, so he can't do the pushing up to right wing situation. He tried to do it against Southampton, and it was horrendous. I'm not going to lie to you, but I already thought Gyökeres was confirmed. What are your thoughts on Gyökeres as an Arsenal fan, Toby? I don't know how I'd feel. I don't know how I'd feel about that. Joshua says, if we manage to move on those players, how about Ryan Flamingo? He looks really good on the ball. Can we move on those players though, mate? That's the problem. Vitor Hayes, but he's a centre-back. He's not going to be able to push up and become a right winger and be this high-flying fullback that we need. He's a centre-back. How have we come down to Núñez being the focal? I know, Musty. It's mad, isn't it? It's mad. It's insane. This is the situation. And again, this is the problem. This is the problem with City's right-back crisis. Yeah? If Núñez isn't playing, we're fucked. If Aït-Nouri isn't playing, then Gvardiol can do it because he's ridiculous. And he can do that. We won the title with him doing that. So it's a little bit less... And also Nico O'Reilly can do it. So it's less detrimental on that left side. The right side is fucked. We've got plenty of defensive options there who can do that. You know, that's not a problem. But going forwards, and as I say, pushing up to right wing, it's not a thing. You would have to totally change it, or you'd have to bank on Savio starting at right wing, wouldn't you? And then the centre-back would have to be comfortable pushing into the midfield at that point, wouldn't they? At which case, if Stones is fit, you could do that, couldn't you? But even then, it's not ideal. It's not really a situation I want to be talking about. AK, but he was an attacking right. He was signed as an attacking right back. He developed into an all-round right back. Nah, this is wrong. This is wrong. He was signed as an attacking right back. He developed into an all-action right back. He then lost his offensive capabilities and was moulded into a purely defensive right back. That is the story of Kyle Walker. It's more an attacking right back, indeed, AK. How about Jack Grealish? Jack, shut up, mate. We'd agree a deal with Gyökeres last week with Sporting, or a horrible team to do business with. Every time we agree something, they'd either ask for more money or more achievable add-ons. How much is the deal in the end? Is that confirmed? Do we know? Nico, what? As a right back? Oh, no. No. I'm assuming you talk about O'Reilly, not Gonzalez. Without Núñez, I think you can still make it work if you have both Foden and Cherki playing on the right side. I don't agree. Well, you couldn't do a 2-3. That's the thing. You couldn't do a 2-3 unless the centre-back moves into midfield. Like, you know, a Stones Champions League final situation. And hey, if Stones can stay fully fit, then that introduces another alternative. But let's be real. We all know that's not happening. We all know that's not happening, sadly. I think Arsenal getting a striker was always going to happen. Now they've got another dilemma of output in terms of the trade-off of having a poacher. I don't even think that striker was the main area that they needed to solve. I think they needed one, obviously, but if we're playing the game of you can only sign one, which is it? I think that maybe like left wing is maybe even a more important position to upgrade. And if the idea is for Madueke to play as like the starting left winger, I don't think that that's good enough. Personally, I don't think a front three of Madueke, Gyökeres, Saka wins you the league. That's my hot take. Or Martinelli, Gyökeres, Saka. I don't think that wins the Premier League. Maybe it will. In which case I'll eat shit. But instinctively, I don't think that's a good enough front three to win the league. Who knows? Maybe it will be. I just don't think it is. If I was an Arsenal fan, I would not be satisfied with that as a front three to win the title. When you look at the signings City have made, more importantly, you look at the signings that Liverpool have been making as well, with Ekitike, with Wirtz, with Kirkes, with Frimpong. They apparently want to bring in more players. The gap between... let's disregard City for a moment. The gap between Arsenal and Liverpool was already pretty big last year, and I think that Liverpool have improved, and sure, Arsenal have improved in respect to the signings, but Liverpool have improved, in my view, even more, and there was already a gap to begin with. So I think that's a problem for the Ars, and it's also a problem for us, but there's so many unknowns with City. We might be dog shit again next year. Who knows? Who knows? Say we do get a great right back and sort out the keeper situation. Are we set? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Because you don't need... well, it depends on outgoings. It depends on outgoings. If all of Gundogan, Kovacic, Bernardo leave, I think we would need a midfielder. Someone like Gibbs White, maybe. But that's very dependent on outgoings. Yeah. 73.5, 63 plus 70. Is that euros or pounds? So 70 million pounds or 70 million euros? Let me know. Boy, this guy, man. This guy. Why not bring Walker on loan as a second keeper? He's homegrown. Hey, you know, he saved more games than he saved more shots than Bravo in that. He saved more shots than Bravo in that game, so fair play. Fair play. There's no way this account is an alt account of Nobbins. Wait, what? Hello? I'm an alt of myself? What? I'm confused. Big Knob, love your top. Where did you get it? Thank you, mate. I got this top from the Knob shop. The link is in the video description if you want to support your boy. And this is my LNobbins top. You can also get it with Blue Moon in case you know, maybe you hate LNobbins as a show. I don't know. The link is in the video description. Go get some LNobbins merch. Like the Bold Fraud poster. Big up to everyone who's been buying from the shop recently. Love that from you guys. Make Vitor Hayes the right back. Even if I accepted that he could be a great defensive option at right back, and I don't accept that right now. He couldn't do anything going forwards though because he's a centre back. He's not like Gavardio who can just do that naturally. He's not that sort of player, so he wouldn't help the attacking right back dilemma at City right now. 54 million. Oh my god, he's even got the dollar amount. I'll call that 55 million then. Let's round it up, yeah, for my own brain. Oh, with 8 million of add-ons. Okay, so that's 60 million then. 60 million pounds. I'd call that. Rounding it down to the nearest 10. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's the stuff. Big up to the stuff. He's a boy. Kyle Walker has a 100% clean sheet rate in goal in the Champions League. Let's please respect him. Yeah, exactly. We will play the next one, and we will play it on stream when the next one drops. We will do that, but I think that's not for a minute until that comes out. So that is the dilemma. That is the problem. And I do not know what the solution is. Well, no. The solution is to move on players that we don't want at the club anymore. But that's easier said than done. You can't just click your fingers and go, right, Gundogan, Kova, Bernardo, Akanji, whoever, leave now. Bye. It's not that straightforward, sadly. If it were, then all the solutions would be solved, and then you bring in Trafford for Edison, as we seem to be doing, and then you can just go for it, and then it doesn't even matter who the right back is, like where they're from, or they're homegrown or not, because you can accommodate them. So I actually don't know where we go from here. Which is a concern, because I feel like there's normally there's a pathway in my head of, oh, we can do this and this and this, and it's a lovely time had by all. I don't know if I see that this summer after the signings we've made. I'm very happy with this. I need to make that clear. I'm very happy with the signings we've made, and so far it's been a successful transfer window so far. However, if we do not bring in a right back, then I will feel like it is a window that's not good enough. Because this is a position that we should have sorted out a year ago. We should have sorted it out at the latest in the summer of 2024. Definitely. At the absolute latest. Absolute latest. And we are now getting, and now we're in the summer of 2025. And we might be in a situation where we're not even able to do it. Yeah, mostly that's so frustrating, isn't it, man? We don't know what would have happened, but you do feel like City would have been in a better negotiating perspective had Livramento known he wasn't going to get Champions League football. That was very frustrating because, yeah, there was a time, wasn't there, when Newcastle were finishing 6th or 7th? So that was fun. Alas, no. And as I say, I don't know what the solution is. Because that was sort of like a... If we sign Trafford, Yash, of course, there will be an analysis video. Although I don't know how that's going to... I can't guarantee that's going to be a good video. Because I've never properly scouted a goalkeeper before. I feel like it's a totally different discipline. So I don't know how that one is going to go. I might find that very tricky. But yeah, of course, if we sign players, I'll make videos on them, of course. Yeah. If you want my sort of like off-the-cuff thoughts on Trafford, I did a stream on it a few days ago, if you want my thoughts. Although I haven't properly looked at him yet. So again, that was all caveats, etc., etc. Liverpool losing a lot of players too. They're players they probably want to move on though, aren't they? And that's the thing. Liverpool are in a very different... Liverpool are in a very different squad building state to City, I think. They're in a state where signing Wirtz made a lot of sense. And, you know, and breaking the British record or whatever for Wirtz made a lot of sense for Liverpool. It did not make a lot of sense for City to do that and to invest a whole load of resources into that one position, which wasn't even like a top 3. Very different situation, Liverpool and City, sadly. They can, like... I've made this analogy before. They've made their cake. They're just, like, putting on the cherries and the sprinklings of the icing sugar and the little chocolate sprinkles and all that stuff. Yeah, like the little chocolate flakes. We're still buying eggs. I know we've bought the eggs now, you know, but we haven't yet made the sponge. Or maybe we have made the sponge, but we don't yet have the icing. You get me? We've got the sponge, you know, the base is there, but so it's a bit better. You know, before we were going to buy some fucking eggs. Right now we need to put the icing in, put the sponges in the icing, and then we can have a chat about the sprinkling of the stuff on top. If that makes any sense. I don't even know if it does. You made a video that if anyone scores 93 goals, they win the title. Now, to be fair, no, Raz, I did not say that. I said that on average, since 2017, if you score 93 goals, you win the Premier League. That's an average. People have done it with less, they've done it with more. But yeah, can Liverpool do it? Yeah. Although we also concluded that we can do it. That's what we also concluded. First of all, are you talking to me? That's the first thing I want to say. If you're not talking to me, then I'm not going to pop off on you. Because maybe you're talking to someone else and you're having a different conversation. I want a one-word answer before I know whether to go in. Are you talking to me? Yes or no? If it's no, then I'll stop talking and I'll take it back. If you're talking to me, then we are going to have words. So I want a yes or no, Nitin. This is tense. This is tense. Okay. Okay. Fine. Okay, I'm not going to go in on you then. No, okay, good. You got away with it this time! Yeah? Oh, fine. Constantine, thank you so much for the super chat, matey. Can we sign Girona players? Martinez is perfect for right back. I don't know what the situation is, Ari, Girona right now, because what wasn't the reason why we couldn't sign from them because wasn't the reason that we couldn't sign from them because they were in the Champions League and we were in the Champions League, but they're now not, are they? Staffy, what the hell? We're still friends. What the hell? No, I can't go in on Nitin because Nitin wasn't talking to me, so I've taken it back. I've taken it back. I don't know what the conversation was, so Nitin and I weren't in disagreement there. What was I doing? Yeah. Where did they even finish in La Liga last season? They're not in a UEFA competition right now, correct? Guys, Alaves are top of La Liga! It's because they begin with an A. Where are... Oh my god, 16th. What a fall from grace. Well, they got picked apart, to be fair. Yeah, so I imagine that we can sign Girona players in answer to your question. Whether that means that we would want to is another conversation, but I don't see why we wouldn't, because the only stumbling block was that they were in a UEFA competition, which is why we can now loan out players to them. That makes sense. That makes sense. Is that right? Now, they didn't get relegated. They oh my god, 1 point above the relegation zone. Christ. Good lord. Sevilla as well, only 1 point above. God, the relegation battle in La Liga was kicking off. Getafe, who were 13th, only finished 2 points above 18th. They got relegated. Christ. Why not buy a great right back from the Championship to be our number one right back? Like what we're doing with Trafford is equally as illogical. Maybe it'll work with Trafford. Might work out as the number one. The Trafford one's hard for me, Mad Hatter, because I don't dislike Trafford as a signing because I think he's a good player. However, I've not yet scouted him so properly. So again, this is subject to change. But I believe my conclusion was basically that I think that he is like a good goalkeeper, but he's young. He's 22. So he could develop into this great goalkeeper, but there are so many unknowns. Could he make the jump? Absolutely. Is it likely he'll make the jump? I don't know the answer to that. So there are lots of unknowns, in fairness. And this is why, just going back to the right-back situation, this is why I would rather take a risk on someone like a Martin Fernandez, who's 19, with plenty of room to grow, than someone who's in their mid-20s, and I don't think they're ever going to get to that level, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm not entirely convinced by Trafford, but I'm not entirely not convinced by Trafford. So it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. With that, I'm sorry to cop out, but I feel like it's justified in doing that. Yeah, sorry, I am a cop out. Yeah, they didn't get relegated. Just about. I think we have enough homegrown. So yeah, just on Girona, I think I can't remember if I said it. That's why allegedly we were looking to loan out Hayes to them, so that can now happen. I think we have enough homegrown players for the Champions League. Maybe use players like Mikasa and Pusi for easy games. Yeah, so again, it's more the fact that we've got too many non-homegrown players, sadly. I'm not going to lie, guys. The last time I properly purchased a FIFA game was FIFA 16. Like, we did have, what was it, FC 24 or 23, and sometimes we like played that on the channel on the Twitch, because that was, you know, it was a novelty at the time. But in respect to you're playing it just for myself, I've not played it since FIFA 15, I want to say. I think it was the one before Royce was on the front cover. I think. Golden Age was like 12 through to 15, I feel like, or 12 through to 14, certainly. So big up. Big up, big up, big up. 22 is 16 in goalkeeper years. That's what I mean. Yeah, so he is young, so there's plenty of room. There's plenty of room to grow and develop. So I'm going to be reserved. Royce was 17. Okay, so I think the last one I had was 16 then. Was 16 the one that had Jordan Henderson on the front? Because I remember that should have been Aguero, but it wasn't. I didn't get the Royce one. I think the last one I got had Messi and Henderson on the front. I think. Sign Martin to make City Portuguese again. And yeah, just on that one more time. That's lovely from a long-term perspective. And it's lovely from like a Premier League perspective because he's under 21, but the Champions League don't give a shit about that, sadly. They do not care. They do not care. And that would count towards our quota, which is a shame. It's an unknown for me, Naveen. It's an unknown. I'm sorry to cop out. I do not know. Because he had a very good season last year, but he was in the Championship. It's really... I'm sorry if that sounds unfair to hold that against it, because it wasn't his fault. He was in the Championship, whatever, but it's really hard to... So you look at his stats, you go, wow, they're amazing, but it's really tricky to compare. I feel like we're comparing apples with oranges there. Yeah. No, surely we're still not talking about Rodrigo. Surely not. Surely not. Do I think Doku and Savio are going to have a good season? Yeah. But I will say that I wouldn't start them in my starting 11s. I would have them as options. But I wouldn't start them together that often. Fortune for Mr. Encrypted. You will receive a gift from someone that cares about you. Oh, well, that's nice. Or maybe that fortune is for me, really, because I received a gift from you of a super chat. So thank you very much, mate. I'm sure it was Jordan Henderson, wasn't it? I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was on the front of FIFA 16. Because it was a fan vote thing, and it should have been bloody Aguero, but I guess it got hijacked. I don't know. And Foul Trafford is a 2 for him to grow into the 1, but to have him be our 1, being so experienced, is insane for me unless we're not trying to challenge for everything. And this is an issue because Trafford is not coming to this club to be number 2. Like, there is no way that he is going to accept that. So if we did end up signing Trafford, I think we would have to accept that he would be our number 1. Whether we like it or not, I think we would have to accept that. Big up Diakite. Big up Diakite. He's my boy. Is that confirmed? Is he actually going to fucking Sunderland? That's my boy. Hello? Well, he was my boy. That ship sailed now, but I like the idea of having Diakite at one point. That was in a different setup, but still. Kusav looks like a Gavadio, but on the right, I don't agree, to be honest with you. I don't agree. Yeah, I saw the Xhaka one. That was bizarre. Spence would do great for us a right back. I think he's a fine player. You Wan-Bissaka, don't give me that shit. I can do what I want. I am the streamer. Yeah? We do have a buyback. We have a matching thing as well. I think that's the term. So I think we've got a £40 million buyback, and we've also got matching rights. Something like that. I think that's correct. I think that's right. So if Newcastle bid 35 million, let's say, then Burnley would have to come to City and say, yo, just an FYI, Newcastle have bid 35 million. Do you want to, like, match it or what? I think that's the state of play. So it's like a double whammy. It's like a double whammy. You can only really put those things into contracts if the player would like to come back to City at some point, and Trafford is one of those players, so that's nice. My question is, do you think our team is on the level to win the league again because it's all we want to bounce back? So by we, do you mean City, just because you mentioned Gyökeres, Tony, or are you talking about your team as Arsenal? Let me know. I think right now, based on the squads we have right now, if you said, right, the transfer window shutting tomorrow, I think Liverpool win the league. Now, I will be happy to change my mind if we bring in a right back of the requisite quality. But right now, I think that you'd have to say that Liverpool are favourites to win the title. Because they were a lot better. Now, I know City will be a very different side. City will be a very different side. Because of injured players coming back, etc., etc., etc. But so I do think the jump that City will have next year will be big, and that'll be nice. But I don't know if it's enough right now, because I think Liverpool have gotten better. That doesn't mean that I don't think they're going to walk the league. I still think there'll be a race, but I think that like the last 2 games of the season, right now it's Liverpool's to win. We shall see. We shall see. They've got a lot of new players. It also, I'll be interested to see how Slot sets up and plays as well. They brought in very different players. Like Trent was obviously their main high volume passing creator. And now that's seemingly going to be Wirtz. So it will be interesting to see like what Slot does. Be interested to see that right side of Frimpong and Salah. How quickly will Kirkes adapt? Where's Wirtz going to play as well? Is he going to play as like a false winger on the left? Is he just going to drop in as a 10? In which case, who are you dropping from the midfield? It's going to be an interesting one. I wonder how Slot is able to go about that. Nobbins as our new goalkeeper. I am 2'7", my guy. We don't want that. And use on Rodri's knees. I don't know what that means. Oh gosh. I thought Newcastle have pulled out of the deal and Trafford want to come to us. See, it's only a matter of time. You'd think so, wouldn't you? Think so. I don't think Liverpool are getting Rodrigo, though, are they? Watch all this. I mean, listen. An elephant never forgets. And I'm an elephant. Yeah? I don't know what the fuck that means. Anyway, a Nobbins never forgets until he does. And you told me that Manchester City were 100% signing Rodrigo. So if that doesn't happen, sir, I would like an apology from you. Deal? Because you said, you locked in, you said whether you like it or not, I remember it well. Like it or not, Rodrigo is definitely signing for City. That's what you said. So if he doesn't sign, I want an apology. Yeah? If he does sign, I'll apologise to you. Of course. Swings and roundabouts. Oh, gosh. Right, we'll be live for another 10 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. So do we have any final thoughts, any final questions or topics that we want to discuss? Let me know. Hello, Any Cool Gamer, how are you doing? If we get good Pep again, I think it's 60-40 us. I expect some Slot regression. I guess that is the key, isn't it? That is the key. Because Salah was obviously mental last year, and Van Dijk was also mental last year. I'm not saying there's going to be a big drop-off. However, what are the chances they perform to that level again? And what are the chances that Slot's able to perform to that level again? Because he's not an unknown quantity anymore. He's a Premier League winning manager. And what are the chances that all of the Liverpool signings are able to adapt like that? That's probably copium. That's probably copium from me. I'll accept that. But that's the way I'm trying to justify and rationalize it. You know what I mean? That true, Fenway. That true, yes. Absolutely. There is a world. 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 When was the last... That's a good point. When was the last time Liverpool won back-to-back titles? In their history? The 80s? It must be, right? It must be. I would not be surprised about that, Razad. Plenty of time for the transfer window left. Right now, they need to sign another few players, I reckon. I hope so. I hope so. Again, this is the one... I think that he's going to be almost like a decoy for Salah, essentially. No, not Premier League, guys. Just like league titles. League titles. I think it was the 80s. Jack, that's crazy. That's crazy. Caught in, yeah, 480i. Wild. PSG had the all-star lineup, same as Madrid, but both failed as Vish. Rodrigo's not coming. Good. It was last month when I thought this club would be serious going into window, but the way they were behaving, I have no hope from this clown board. Okay, that's all well and good, Knitting, but you told me that they were 100% going to do it. So if they don't do it, I am demanding an apology. If they do it, I'll apologise to you. But if they don't do it, I want you to say, Nobbins, I am sorry for saying Rodrigo was 100% coming to City. That is what I want you to type out verbatim to me. You said it with a fucking 100 kilogram incline barbell chest press, yeah? Am I going to any Oasis shows? Controversial. You'd know this if you come to the Twitch streams. I don't really like Oasis. I think they're fine. But there is no Oasis on any of my Spotify playlists. I will never queue an Oasis song. If they come on, I'm not going to go, oh, turn that shit off. I'll go, oh, roll with it. It's all right. I don't have a particular affinity for Oasis. I also don't really have an affinity for live music either, to be honest. I've been to 3 concerts in my life. One of those was just because Mrs. Nobbins wanted to go see Ghost. So, you know. Yes, we are doing Twitch later today, guys. Twitch.tv/LNobbins. We'll be live at 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. tonight. Red Dead Redemption 2. We're back. So, yes, we are doing it later. Big up to you, Dash, for asking that. Asking the important questions, yeah? Asking the important questions. Big up to you, Dash. DCO's playing a 3-1-4-2 with a back 3. Rogers Soul 6. Ignoring shaky flanks. Oh, wait. Back 3. Rodri is a 6. Nori and Shirky is the flanks. So how are you... So who's going into the midfield then, Oscar Bob the GOAT? I don't like Shirky on the flank either, but let's park that for a moment. Oh, no, wait. It's back 3. No, sorry, yeah. I don't see us playing that. I don't hate it. But I don't like it. I don't hate it, though. Let's pick up. Yeah, the 80s. 82 to 83 and 83. Yeah. Yeah, again, I'm not having a go. If Oasis are your favourite band and you love them, then that is absolutely fair enough. I'm not going to have a go, because I'm not massively passionate about music. I like music, but I'm not, like, mental on it. So if you love Oasis, that's perfectly fine. I just don't really like them that much. Again, couple of good songs. I know the hits. I know Wonderwall, which is sadly horrendously overplayed. I like Roll With It. What else do they do? Don't Look Back in Anger, that's alright. I don't know if I know any more songs. Again, I think they're fine. I don't personally get the hype, but that's fine. Absolutely fine. Any thoughts on Rashford to Barca? I'm so interested by this. I'm so interested. I might be tuning into some La Liga games, because how's that going to work? Like, is it just going to be like, is it Rashford going to be used to 9? Is there going to be like a sort of like fluidity front 3 where it's, like Rafinha, Rashford, Yamal? Is Rafinha going to drop out? It's really interesting. And if he succeeds, I don't know what that means for his future, because let's say that he... Oh yes, for Rashford, it's brilliant. Let's say that he goes to Barca and absolutely smashes it and like wins the title with them, whatever. and United are still shit, do you just go, right, clearly Amorim is an idiot for getting rid of him. We need to grovel and keep him because we can't get rid of a player of this quality. Obviously, if he like fails, then he fails. But I don't know. It's interesting. It's another unknown for me. I don't know. But again, at what point do you go, okay, Amorim, mate, you're not working out, and you got rid of this player who's absolutely smashing it at Barca. So what's going on? You get me. Isn't Elden Ring the hardest game in the world? If I played that, Spartacus, would it make you come over to the Twitch? Because you don't come over to the Twitch, and that annoys me. Come over, you little rat. Look at that golden rat, you little rat. Hello, Siri. Do you feel it's possible for us to win the league with Nunes as the starter? This is a really good question, and I think that we can definitely do it. It's definitely possible. Definitely possible. We would be relying on Liverpool to pick up a couple injuries, / Salah, Van Dijk not being the level they were last season. It could definitely happen. It could. Because I think that Nunes, at his best, can be like a 7 out of 10. If you're putting in like 7 out of 10 performance as a right back, being functionally providing offensive function, that's a thing. It could be a thing. The problem is it's not a guarantee, and it's still a very upgradable position for me. What about Coldplay? I prefer Coldplay to Oasis. I actually do have some Coldplay songs on my Spotify playlist. I really like something like this. I like Viva La Vida, for example. I think those two are genuinely beautiful songs. Viva La Vida in particular, it's heartbreaking, that song. I used it for my Kevin De Bruyne shots outside the box compilation. So big up to that. Yes, I think it's interesting. It's interesting. I wonder, that's what I mean. I don't know what the situation's going to be. Yeah, Clock's another banger. And it was Oh Yellow. Oh Yellow. That's Yellow, the new hit by Coldplay. Nice. Would Grealish definitely be a bad right back? The stuff, what is going on, mate? What is happening? Absolutely. Well, not good enough. Come over now. Come over right now. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I know it's not Coldplay, but still. Right, guys. Shall we... What the hell? That wasn't me really singing, though. Guys, come on. I am actually a quite good singer if I try. I'm not being funny. That wasn't me trying. Let's be real for a second, guys. Let's be real. Whoa. Chill. And here's the thing, guys. If you haven't seen my gaming ability, there's only one way to do so. And that is over on the Twitch. It's LNobbins.tv/Twitch. Sorry, it's twitch.tv/LNobbins. Click that link. Come over tonight. We're going to be live at 7 p.m. for Red Dead Redemption 2. It's a fun time had by all. I'm a great... There's Spartacus, just follow the Twitch. Yes, we fight. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. We got him. Sure. Oi, Miracle. Little rat. I am decent. I am decent if I lock in. If I want to be. Yeah, guys, that was the end of... That's going to be the end of the stream. Thank you guys so much for joining another installment of Touchline Talk. I didn't even ask for likes, and we got nearly 200, which is great. We've got around 300 people in here watching right now. Let's see, can we do one last rally? Can we push to 185 to 200, that sort of vibe, that sort of thing? Leave a like on the video. It is free. It helps out your boy. What about horror games? We've played horror games before. I do have my heart. I hate horror games, though. Hey, I am good at Pokemon. I'm pretty sick at Pokemon, let's not lie. I'm actually very good at Pokemon. I don't lose at Pokemon, unless there's some bullshit going on. And I'll follow you on Twitch if you give an opinion on Radiohead. I've heard of them, but what's their main... Yeah, exactly, DJ it was, yeah. Because someone said Paradise in the chat. What are their main songs? Again, I know the artist. Creep. That's their main one, seemingly. Oh, this is slow. I'm bored. This. Bored. Is that their main song? No surprises. Oh my god! Why do they sound so upset? It's not that serious. Weird Fishes. What a name. Okay, Weird Fishes. Weird Fishes. Okay, it's a bit faster. I fucking hate that. I'm not gonna lie, guys. Yeah, I know, that's why I'm just playing snippets. I'm not gonna lie, guys. If that's Radiohead, then I am a hater. I'm sorry. I know I've only given them, like, 20 seconds of my time. I'm a hater. That's not my sort of music, I'm afraid. That is boring and slow to me, and all I wanted to do listening to that was turn that shit off. I apologize if you're a big fan of Radiohead. But based on that bit of sampling, that was clapped. Big up to the stuff for following the Twitch. Love that from you. Don't worry, I'll just mute the bit of the songs. Don't worry, like, YouTube does a thing where you can... It says, you're not going to get money from this stream because of these songs. I'll just do the thing where it mutes the audio. It's fine. Don't worry about it, guys. It's fine. It's fine. Wait, look at all those people following the Twitch. We got the stuff. We got Cobain Crusher. We got Miracle. Love that from you. Yeah, I'm a hater from day one. Day one learning about Radiohead songs. I'm a massive hater, no cap. Now, maybe I'm not giving them a fair play, but... Again, I'm not massive on music, guys. I like some music, obviously. But for me, music is... For the most part, is just filler. Like, if I'm working... if I'm researching a player, or if I'm walking to the gym, or if I'm like going to sleep, I'm like getting ready for bed. And even then, I'd rather put on like a podcast or like a Spanish lesson rather than music. So again, it's background. It's filler background stuff for me. It's date nights, pop some music on the speaker, create a nice vibe. That's fine, but I'm not the sort of person who sits down at like a vinyl, and it is indeed Spartacus, yeah. And I know people who do that. My parents do this. They've got a record player, they've got a record collection, and they love just sitting down and like listening to music. And it's like fair play, you know. It's like fair play. But for me, it's a no bueno. It's no bueno for me. I do like Resident Evil, yes. Right, guys, I'm going to shoot off. This somehow became a conversation about Radiohead. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll be back later tonight on... on Twitch. So come follow me, guys. Thank you very much. This has been the City Transfer Dilemma Crisis video, etc., etc. I'll see you guys on the Twitch. I'll tell you more about my holiday. Goodbye, guys.